And hello, people of the internet. How's it going today? How's it doing? I'm Billy Bones, and this is a walk through the mind. A moment where we can take a couple minutes out of our day and share some ideas and see if we can't get an idea going between all of us. So sit down, relax, and we'll see if I can't hash out a couple ideas. Today being on balancing the checkbook. When's the last time you heard that phrase? It can't be too long ago. I know we all still kind of talk about it here and there. And everybody's still got the joke, at least in my circles, of worrying about getting stuck behind the old lady at the cash register, busting out the checkbook for a $10 transaction. Everybody's got a chip now. Everybody's got a debit card. No one carries cash. But that's not really where I want to go on balancing the checkbook. Not too long ago, finally paid off all my credit cards. Man, what a challenge that was. That was tough. You get sucked in so fast. I'll throw this in right now. I am not an economist by any stretch of the imagination. I'd like you to keep in mind that I'm lucky to have a high school diploma. So I was like so many other people. Get a credit card. Look, I can buy this. I can buy that. I can buy this. I can buy that. And all of a sudden I had a credit card balance that was a lot more money than I had in the bank to my own name. And nothing really hit home up until I realized that I can't pay that off in case an emergency happens. For whatever reason, I get an injury that prevents me from working. Or worse off, I get fired. Now I have no income. I wasn't too afraid of either of those scenarios, but the scenarios did pop up in the back of my head. And I was worried about that. So, learning how to allocate money was a very hard lesson to learn. And especially when I've got that debt. And I can sit there and go, I'm currently very fortunate not to have the debt of school loan. I can only imagine the stress that would cause on people. Because when I had this outstanding debt, I would wake up in the middle of the night stressing about money. Worried about it. Because it's not something you can just pay off. There's only so much stuff you can sell. And the stuff that you can sell at a garage sale or on Craigslist or on eBay or whatever won't fetch the same price tag that you originally purchased from it. And so I'd sit there and I'd be freaking out about just this money that I owed. It was, the products were mine. The things that I purchased were mine. But the money that I used was not mine. And that's what a credit card is. And that's not to say that you don't know, but I'm vocalizing for everybody, for you and for me. But with a credit card, again, it's It's not your money. It's someone else's money. And they give you the APR, the cost, the additional cost for you to borrow that money. You have an APR of 10% and you borrow $100 at the end of a month, you now owe $110. And that doesn't sound like much. That kind of sounds like a fair deal. But if your APR is 10% and you borrow $1,000, you now owe $100. Still 10%. Still fair at the $100 point. Kind of more expensive at the $1,000 point. Then you can ratchet those numbers up as far as you want. Justify either way. And then they get you with the easy sales pitch. Why wait until tomorrow when you can have what you want today? That's a nice feeling. That's really cool. But then you owe someone else money. And then you can sit there and go, hey, Billy, I can have that today and not worry about it till tomorrow. And fine, it cost me 10%. But why should I save the money? Because my bank's only going to give me 0.1%. If we're lucky. I don't even know what my savings account gives me. Nowhere close to 10% though. And even with the 5 and 10 year CD loans, I think is what they're called, you might get 5% back. But even to open one of those, you need a minimum amount. It might be $500. And the return is going to be almost nothing. And your best investment on a CD is to put $1,000 or $5,000 or even $10,000. And you get an actual return. And saving money is, man, is it tough. It is so tough. I'm right there with a lot of people. I'm not living paycheck to paycheck, but I'm not very far from living paycheck to paycheck. And that's where I bring in balancing the checkbook. That thing that we're barely taught in schools anymore. At least when I was in school, it was kind of glossed over. But it's a very good lesson. You think about back in the day, back before credit cards existed, the money you had is the money you could spend. You could go out and get a loan, but it would be a significant amount of money. I don't think anybody would get a loan for $100. Maybe because of price inflation, the reduction in value of the U.S. dollar. You probably could have gotten a loan for $100. You might have gotten a loan for $5,000 to buy the brand new 1968 car, right? But even still, you weren't getting a loan on all the small little things. And you can sit there and go, well, now with the credit card, I get points back. I get 2 times points on gas and 3 points on groceries and whatnot. And that's a fantastic deal. But under those terms, you're selling information to the credit card provider of what you're shopping for, where you're shopping, regular shopping habits, how much you're spending. And I can reference looking at the who owns the data conversation that or recording that I did. And you can look into questioning on that. But again, you're borrowing money that isn't yours. And if you're really good at it, I've got a friend who's really good at using the credit cards to his advantage. He's really good with his money. And I don't like that. It stresses me out too much. I'm sure I could make it work. But I don't like having one credit card. I use it. You have to play the game of credit here in the United States at some level. You don't have to. But it makes a lot of things easier. But again, balancing the checkbook and looking at the 1920s as a general, simple, before credit cards example. You saved $100. You had $100. You got minimal interest. But you didn't owe anybody money outside of your prior commitments. Some of the best ways that I've purchased things that I own, it's been satisfying to put a couple bucks away every paycheck. And when I wait the same time frame, let's say it takes me a month to save up for something, and I go and purchase it, it's mine. Flat out, no questions asked. It's mine. Now, I could have gone out day one and purchased it with my credit card. Now, I put the same amount of money away each paycheck to buy the thing. Now I have paid off my purchase, but because I've used someone else's money, I now have to work an extra 3 days, we'll say, just to pay off the money that I borrowed to purchase the thing on day one. And there's times where you have to have the thing today. There's emergencies, there's requirements in life, and credit cards can play an important role. But if you already have to work a month or 2 months to pay off that same purchase, why not put the money aside to yourself in a savings account? And then you save yourself the 3 days or the 4 days or however many days extra from not borrowing someone else's money. And at the end of the return, it's only a couple pennies, but that's a couple pennies more in your pocket that you've earned in your own savings account that you didn't have to pay dollars to someone else to borrow the money from. And balancing the checkbook. You've got the $100. You can't spend more than $100. Money management, again, absolutely tough. Absolute pain. And I'm speaking from experience on it. Sometimes you can only put $5 aside per paycheck. But if you put $5 away this paycheck, $5 away next paycheck. $5 away next paycheck. It's slow and it's tedious. But if you can find the discipline not to spend that money, again, it earns pennies at the beginning. And the bigger it grows, the more it returns. And at the end of the day, you don't have to borrow money from someone else, especially if you're buying fun things. Now, if you have to pay the water bill, the electricity bill, or the rent, I understand. Things get dicey. But maybe this is worth a little bit of time. I'm not here to tell you how to finance your life, how to run your finances. But I'm trying to share my experience on this. And I'm letting you know it's not easy. I remember the first time I saved up $500 to buy the drum set that I wanted. And as soon as I hit that money, that marker, it's gone. I spent it. I went and I bought my drum set. I was happy. I was so excited. And I turned around and I looked at my bank account and I saw that it was zero. It hurt. I worked real hard to save up all that money. Since then, I've come to the rule that I live by, that if I'm going to save up money to buy something, I need to have twice the amount saved up that I'm going to spend. And working part-time, when I bought that first drum set, that took a long time to save up that money. I was 16 at the time. That took a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of discipline. I don't know if I would have been able to save up $1,000 then. $500 was so much money. So much money. It still is a lot of money. But a little bit of discipline can go a long way. And as long as we're not putting everything on the credit card, or if we have that $100 balance on the credit card, we should have at least $200 in the bank. So that way, in case shit hits the fan, you can pay that credit card off to zero and still have $100 in your savings account. But it's easy to talk about. It's real easy to talk about and really hard to implement. I don't know how many times I'm going to repeat that. I apologize. But there's definitely something to be said for balancing the checkbook. Making sure we have the money before we spend the money. Nice things are nice. It's really nice to have nice things. But living within your means is, in my opinion, a little bit more important. You can stabilize yourself and get things organized. If you have the means. Again, not everybody has the means, and life is not easy for everybody. So hopefully I didn't come off as too preachy on this. Hopefully it was a worthwhile bit of information. But if you got any questions or comments, you can reach me on my webpage, BILLYBON3S. That's the number 3 instead of an E. BillyBones.com. You can find me on Twitter, @BillyBones. And if you find any of this worth a damn, thank you for listening to my shows. If it's worth sharing, though, I do ask that you share. Share this show. Get my name out there a little bit. That'd be nice. Other than that, questions, comments, love mail, hate mail, send it all. I love you guys.